All right, everybody. Welcome. We're doing a special live call here. It's a recorded call with Dr. Doug and Sara Ness, who are in one of my favorite cities because I'm a huge Eagles fan. And our quarterback hails from Bismarck, North Dakota. And I believe one of your CAs went to high school with him. Carson Wentz,
correct,
right?
Yeah, you got it.
Have you ever met Carson?
Not yet.
No.
He comes to Bismarck quite often, though, so there's a chance.
All right, cool. So, the reason we're doing this video, I asked Doug and Sara if they would jump on a live recorded video with me to share their experience. It's been a process of, I would say you guys came on about a year ago, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's been a little over a year, I believe.
Okay. And in that time, you guys have made quite a few changes, and particularly to the physical space that you're in right now. So maybe, Doug, start us off with just a little bit of background of kind of why you got into 8 Weeks to Wellness, why both you and Sara decided to make a huge investment of your time and resources to do this for your community. And then maybe we can go into more specifics of things that you guys would recommend, having gone through this process and your experience. What are some things you did really well, and what are some things that you kind of learned with so others don't have to make those mistakes?
You got it. So it all started back a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. Sara and I started to see this shift happening where we get these people better through chiropractic care, and getting them into phase 2 was a tough one. We'd give them stretches. We'd talk about nutrition. We'd go after these things. Along with that, we were expanding our chiropractic because we were getting so busy. So we were in a 1,700 square foot office, which was okay, but we were getting too small for our britches kind of thing. So what we started to do is looking for spaces, and then we found a space, and then at the same time we're thinking, okay, so how else can we help people with phase 2? So we thought about, okay, let's getting exercise built in here. Let's get some nutrition built in here. And at that time, we really didn't know about 8 weeks. Dr. Justin Nye is a good friend of mine. I knew that he did 8 weeks, but I didn't know anything about it. And it was through some conversations and some digging. Paul Reed was another one we talked to. Is like, okay, 8 weeks to Wellness has every aspect in it of, in a sense, a plug-and-play system of how we can get what we want without reinventing the wheel. And that's where we really came on board and started talking with yourself and Paul Reed and Justin again on how 8 weeks could come into play to help us out here at our brand new clinic, which now is 6,000 square feet with a huge functional fitness center on the backside.
So maybe talk about, that's huge, guys. And I just think, the amount of commitment that takes, because, let's face it, I jump on the call with a lot of doctors. I just had 2 calls today with doctors that are interested in 8 Weeks to Wellness. And I think the real obstacle in their mind is, can I do this? Everybody wants this type of practice because you want to be able to help and serve your patients. And, you want to add these services because it's just going to make your patients better. But then there's the actual commitment. There's the actual work, So maybe what was the hurdle in your mind where you said, you know what? We're willing to do the hard work here. We're willing to invest in ourselves. We believe in ourselves. We believe in this model, and we're willing to buy a building, invest some time and money and effort into this, invest in training our staff, invest in the systems, get on the coaching calls. So maybe can you help with that process if the doctor's watching, how do I get over that hurdle?
Yeah, want to tackle that? We can take it together.
Sure. I guess if it's in your head that you're going to do this anyways, why not choose a system that's already set for you? So it's getting past looking at the amount of hard work it's going to be. It's so much easier to take it from someone like Dane, who's done this for, I think, 17 years or something like that, whatever it is. Systems that are out there, you can go onto the website and have manuals, and you can have all the what to do, what to say, and all the things that are already made. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. I guess one of the biggest things that we probably made a mistake on really early on was not delegating staff early enough where we could have done some things. We could have trusted somebody else to do the things that we were taking on. So at times it was overwhelming, but I think it could have been delegated more. That's one thing I'd say we could have done better.
And then as a new doctor, I think, or a new clinic looking to take on 8 Weeks to Wellness, for me, I'm always looking forward anyway. It's part of my personality. So I'm like, yeah, let's just go for it.
Sure.
And getting into it, and then you get your hands dirty. And I think it's just writing down what you want and figuring out what you want and then just going for it. And not looking back. You know, if it makes you move on the inside, you're doing the right thing. If you're scared, you're doing the right thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's trusting the process. That's the other thing that we got right away after talking to, I believe it was you or Justin, one of those first 2 times. It's like, okay, this is a legit system that gives you exactly what you need. And it's guided for the doctor and guided for the clinic. You know, it's going to be work, but here's how you do the work. So having that was a big part. And I think what Sara was saying too, there's some things that we could have delegated, you know, as a CA or a assistant of some sort. But overall, I think the first thing is just deciding, just go for it.
Right.
Right. And if that's what's in your heart and the way you want to practice, you just got to go.
Sure. And Doug, you and I have very similar personalities because I'm sort of the mindset is, throw them in the water and trust me, they're going to learn how to swim, know, and that's kind of what we do with our kids. I don't know if that's child abuse or not, but we were always there to save them if they couldn't figure it out. But that's me. I'm going to jump, and guess what? I'm going to figure it out on the way down. And, and I think that that's a really poignant point. It's like, if it's really on your heart, if God's speaking to you, or you've been thinking about, man, what can I do to serve my patients? And so many docs, I think, guys, and maybe, you'll agree with me, is they have real challenges after that first phase of care with patients. Like, hey, we've got them pain-free, we've got them feeling better, but like, what's that next step to really be able to make a bigger difference in their life and get them off that statin and get them off that diabetic medication and really help them at a deeper level? And that's, I think, what most doctors are searching for, this type of model.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So let me ask you this question. Now that you guys have gone through the process, like, what would you share? What are some, like, maybe 2 or 3 pearls that you would share with doctors who are involved in the process that really helped you guys move to launch? And when I say launch, I mean literally, the docs on the video can't see it right now, guys, but you have I've been in it, a stunning practice. You have an incredible trainer. You have an incredible training space. Your office is absolutely top notch. I'm so proud when I walked in there. I'm like, wow, this is an office. If I was a new patient, I'd be really, really impressed by. But is there some things, words of wisdom that you would give from getting from point A to making that decision to where you are now?
Yeah, with the 8 weeks, for one, it'd be trust the process and know that the modules that are provided through the 8 weeks program, you have to follow them, I guess. Come up with a game plan through using you or Dr. Justin or whoever, and coming up with a game plan, I guess, would be the biggest thing for me. What modules do I need to tackle by when? And what things do I need to have in place by when? And have an understanding, a global understanding of, okay, you're okay to be where you're at, just keep pushing forward and make sure these modules are getting taken care of. But I think the modules was the biggest thing that I saw once we started going through them and learning the process and learning that there's a lot of things built into those modules, from reports or just sheets of paper that help out, printing stuff for patients, and and trusting that process. I think that was probably the biggest initial hurdle.
One of the other biggest turning points in our development was actually sending Kayla, who's our trainer, to Justin and I's clinic, and she spent the day with their trainer, Dawn. And she learned, it was Kayla, who's got a master's in exercise physiology. She's got this awesome wealth of knowledge, but taking that program, or taking her knowledge and seeing Dawn work the program in person, it was like, then it was like Kayla's brain was turned on, and she was like, okay, this is something that I can tackle, because she just graduated from college with her master's degree and is like, had never seen something like this before, and it was all new. And so she was overwhelmed, and then we didn't have the time to spend with her, or we didn't actually know what to train her with one-on-one either. So once she went and saw that with Dawn for that day, it was like game over. She took it on herself, and she was like the catapult to make this thing go. So I think that's
a really good point, Sara, because I always say to docs, I'm like, listen, I do a lot of coaching, but when I coach, we're looking at game film, right? We're like Monday morning game film, but I'm not on the practice field with you. I don't know of any high-level coach that's not going to get on the practice field and see how the players execute in real time in practice. So, you know, when you send somebody like a CA or a doctor comes to visit me and they see me do a day one or see how our flow works, or I can send them in with a no or send them in with a dawn, and they get to see it, they get excited because they say, hey man, if I see this in these people and it's functioning at a high level, you know, I know that I can do it too. I just have to learn the systems. And there's difference between learning the systems on paper and learning the systems in real time. So that's a really good point that you brought up.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest. And I think there's the other side of the fence. It's for us. You know, granted, personally, I've known Justin since chiropractic college, so that was an easier add-in for me. But I think it's the doctors themselves going to the seminars, going to your day one, day twos, and getting on board with those things to understand your concepts better. And, you know, there's something to be said about being in person and being around the group. You know, in the jacuzzi with like-minded people.
Yeah, like, you know, so for example, guys, you know, we have our 2-3 day coming up in a couple of weeks at Dr. Brian Hester's office, and Dr. Brian's been involved in 8 Weeks to Wellness for a long time, and a year ago he made a transition to a brand new, absolutely gorgeous office. But everybody's going to be able to see that office. We're going to be able to work out at the office, meet his trainers, meet his staff, and, you know, we'll do it at a hotel close to his office. But all the 2-day trainings we do at real 8 Weeks to Wellness centers, so people can see that this isn't just, you know, on paper. This is actually being done in other clinics, and there's value from learning from other people. And like you guys both said, it really is a culture. And I've found one of the things that really warms my heart, everybody in this culture is willing to share and help one another, you know. And I think by culturally us all helping one another out, because we all have different strengths, you know, but if we bring our strengths to the culture, you know, what we have is not 1 + 1 = 2. We have 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 100,000. And so let me ask you this question. You know, the flip side of that question is, what would you have done differently? Is there anything that you would have done differently with your launch or leading up to your launch, or the way that you systemized your day one, day twos, or anything about the flow of your office or your staff or anything like that?
Yeah, and I think the hard part for us was building the clinic and starting 8 weeks at the same time. I don't recommend that one.
Right.
It was very difficult to do. If we would have been in our old set, or maybe we would have been here already and then starting 8 Weeks Wellness, what I would have done was had our staff trained better and had ourselves trained better as for the hot button words and the procedural things before we started the launch, before we had the launch. Just have more ducks in a row before launch, which all those ducks are lined up if you're willing to go into the modules and work on the modules, which is, I think, we got busy building the clinic and modules at the same time.
Sure.
But that's one thing I wish would have happened. That now, since then, we've had to go back and learn. That's my biggest change that I would have had.
Cool. Sara, anything?
Let's see. I guess for the launch, we didn't have it clear cut financially what it was going to be, and we didn't know. Okay, so we had like 8 people ready to sign up, and we didn't know. Okay, what is any of this going to go to insurance? Is all this cash? Whatever. So we had these people ready to sign up, and then we had to get back to them on how much it was going to cost. And it all worked out in the end, in that they all signed up, but it was kind of wishy-washy. Sure. So I wish we would have had like a clear-cut answer for everybody that night.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think those are great. And then Doug, will you just, and one of the things that my favorite part of the launch, guys, is coming to your homes and meeting your children. And like, it's a very special time for me to go to these clinics and see your beautiful office and meet your beautiful children and spend some time with your staff. And it's just a really great experience for me too. And one of the things I loved about it, this was like a last minute audible, Doug. We decided to record it and post it to your Facebook Live to your business account. And you told me that 1 or 2 people signed up from just watching the video.
Yes. And that was great. And then we used it as a reference for those people that, I couldn't make it last night. I'm like, well, go to our Facebook. So for one, that's the whole marketing thing, but more importantly, people got to hear it from the horse's face, the horse's head. It was you teaching people and talking. So it's like they didn't miss out on the talk, which, it was cool, because that, I think, is a very valuable thing to do in the future.
Well, it's funny you just said that, because my wife always says I have a horse head, and she just walked by. So I don't know if that was a Freudian slip that you had, So, all right. So last question. So, now that you guys are operational, you're up and running, and how are things going? Like, are there things that you guys feel that you really need to focus on now that you've got? It's one thing to build up to the launch. You get people launched. You get a bunch of people doing 8 weeks to wellness. What have you learned now that people are going through the program? Like, what are the important things that you guys have learned in taking people through 8 weeks to wellness and generating referrals and making sure they're getting great results? And I always say it comes down to their experience. If they have a great experience and get great results, they're going to refer other people. So anything that you want to say about that? And then Doug, one thing I want to touch on, because I think this is important too, is the business side. Can you just talk to, so maybe Sara, you can talk about that first part, but Doug, can you talk about how you bought your building? And when you bought your building, you took me to the other side of the building, and maybe the plans that you told me by the time everything's said and done with your investment in the building, your investment in the equipment, you're actually going to be paying less rent when you get the other side rented. So I think there's a real business opportunity. We rent out to 4 renters in our space. We own our building. So I also think that people need to think of this as a business opportunity too.
You got it. And in that sense, it was you come from a mom and pop shop of 1,700 square feet, you're renting out of a strip mall. And like Sara and I looking together, we saw the price tag of the building. It's like, wow, that's a lot, right? And then we saw what we were getting, and then talking through some of our other friends and everything, and our financial people, and saying that's a great investment. And then I think it's, along with the 8 weeks to wellness, having a vision. It's having a vision of what you can do with this other space, of leasing it out. We have roughly 18,000 square feet in this building we have, and that's where together Sara and I, just we could see that vision together. It's nice. We saw, okay, this is 6,000 for our chiropractic office. That's already set up for this boutique. And then this middle space, which is just a warehouse, is in the middle. They're actually remodeling it right now. They're putting a yoga studio in there. So in the end, it was a huge investment, but the payoff is going to be even greater down the road. So we will be paying just over $1,000 more than we were renting for. Mm-hmm. And so, oh no, go ahead.
So it's actually, once all the rental property, once they're all renting, the Active Life Chiropractic portion will be $1,000 per month.
Yeah, there you go.
So where before we were paying $3,000 per month for 1,700 square feet.
There you go.
So we'll be able to pay our loan off way quicker, because first of all, we have more income. We have massage therapy. We have our trainer. We have 8 weeks, making more income, and then paying way less for Active Life. So in the grand scheme of things, the huge investment will be paid off in much shorter time, and then down the road, the rest will all be gravy, and hopefully a retirement plan.
That's awesome. I mean, that's just such a great business model, guys. Your cash flow goes up, but your overhead goes down, because you have people basically subsidizing your overhead.
Right, exactly.
Which is a really, really nice model. So anything that you guys would think about or want to talk about in terms of once you launch, like some of the things that you feel that are necessary to kind of keep the wheel going. You got people in the program, but now obviously the key is getting more people in the program. And let's face it, like, I know this coaching docs, not everybody comes in and says, hey, I'm here for 8 weeks to wellness. People come in, they're chiropractic patients. We always say, give them what they want, but show them what they could have. And I think a lot of chiropractors are pretty good at giving people what they want, which is generally pain relief, but not necessarily good at showing them what they could have. 8 weeks, getting off meds, dealing with their diabetes, having a better, higher quality of life, being around a lot longer for their kids and their spouse. So what have you guys learned there?
So working with people one-on-one, I've been doing the nutritional consults, and then just meeting with people and see how things are going. You go from the awesome extreme of people like, look at my pants, my pants are smaller and I'm sleeping better and I have more energy, and down to, I just got a gal yesterday who, she's like, I've been struggling, here's my book, but I don't want to give it to you. She's been drinking pop and she's been traveling, and right. So it's working with those people. It's celebrating the wins. It's working as a cohesive group of Kayla, our trainer, and our front desk staff, our massage therapist, and making sure everything is getting done for these people and they're getting their supplements and staying on track. So it's like spinning plates in that sense, just making sure you're spinning them right. And then eventually we're going to have a coordinator like Sara was proving there. Other things, I think, like you're saying too, it's having the conversations, your table talk. Sarah and I are, we're always talking about Kayla and 8 weeks to wellness, and it's work. It's not just a one-time thing and it takes care of itself. You're constantly, you have to be on cue to put people into the system, and it's constantly educating people, and that I think is the biggest part of keeping the 8 weeks program moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And incorporating the Better Results Faster program. That's one thing that we haven't done personally yet, and so we just need to do that. And we always drug our feet over this because we want to get home and be with our kids. That's the thing. That's the reason. That's our why, I guess. And so we just need to figure out when and make it happen. So.
Yeah, and the key with that, guys, is, this is what I want everybody to understand is, 8 weeks to wellness in our office is $3,400. I know it's pretty pricey in your offices too. And I don't know about you guys, but if I don't come in thinking, I'm going to do 8 weeks to wellness, I'm not going to write a check for $3,400 if I don't understand the value and the benefits of doing so. So the question becomes, how do you go about doing that? Certainly some docs are really skilled in doing it in their day one, day two. I've just found that I need a separate time with them to explain what health is, where it comes from, what their responsibilities are, what our responsibilities are. And how do you, I really believe at the end of the day, guys, people are looking for a structured program. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to do it. And they're also looking for a coach to hold them accountable to doing it. And they're willing to pay for those things if they see that there's value and it's a real program and it's with real results and it's applicable to my conditions, and and you're future pacing them to have them take a look at their parents and do they really want to go down that road and things like that. And that's what we do in the Better Results Faster. And that really comes back down to that you guys are still learning. Before we had this call, we talked about, okay, guys, in 2019, we're going to focus on getting you guys to do your Better Results Faster. Because I know if you prep that soil before you put the seed down, hey, this is $3,400, that seed's going to germinate a lot better if you're throwing it on fertile soil instead of throwing it on dust. So there's a constant evolving and learning process. And, it's been a year for you guys, but look where you are. And, I've been in practice 27 years. I love going to my office. And because at the end of the day, what I really feel this is all about is relationships. And you're enhancing the relationships so people can go out and they're going to be better servants. They're going to be better moms, better dad, better husbands, better wives. And to me, that's what it's all about. So when you add this dimension of 8 weeks to wellness, there is such an accelerated healing that takes place when these people are eating well, when they're exercising properly, when they have the right frame of mind. It just accelerates your results and helps you to achieve your goal that much quicker. So I just really want to thank you guys for taking the time. And like I said, the real win for me is getting to know people like yourself, because you're just beautiful people. And knowing that we're on the same mission together. And Doug, I want you to know that I saw on the Facebook page in our community, there's a black bear around here somewhere about a mile or two. So I was thinking about you, and I don't know if you ever hunted black bear, but I'm expecting that's going to be one on my property here pretty soon.
Well, I think Joe Kelly, you're going to meet Joe. Joe and I can come and hunt it for you.
It's a beautiful animal, so I don't know if I want to hunt it or just I want to see it. But I really appreciate your time, guys, taking the time to do this. And I really hope that the docs that are watching really got something and took this information to heart. So really appreciate it, guys. And and if anybody needs to reach out to you guys, would you mind that they do that?
You got to go ahead and contact us anyway at Active Life. You can just call our office, 701-255-4241. We'll get in contact, or email us, go to our website, get our email address. However you want to contact, we'd be more than happy to help you.
That's awesome. Appreciate it, guys.